this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
No one knows what the future holds, but you deserve a weather app that can help. WeatherBug is easy to use and provides forecasts for your every need, from storm warnings to pollen levels, right at your fingertips. Get the fastest local alerts and comprehensive 10-day forecasts wherever you are. Its hyperlocal, real-time, customizable alerts make sure the weather never takes you by surprise, so you can plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store today and start getting accurate weather forecasts 24/7.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You know when a commercial becomes a thing everyone's suddenly talking about? Yep, this is one of those. Elf Cosmetics just dropped an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa, celebrating positivity, inclusivity, and accessibility. Stars Melissa McCarthy, but the real star? Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. When language fails her and lips are dull and dry, only Glow can revive. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color. Watch the full episode of the new Elf Novela at soyunbaño.com.
Introducing the new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. You can't get just one because they come in twos. One for you and one to share with a friend who loves Taco Bell and slow-roasted chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch as much as you do. Or just eat both of them, because nobody really loves slow-roasted chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch like you do. Go ahead. I won't tell. The new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. Get 2 today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last.
Body Bags with Joseph Scott Moore. There's a passage that comes out of the Bible, and I'm not much of a biblical scholar, but it simply says this: a study to show thyself approved. And over the past few months, I would say that there's a particular case that has been, I don't know, occupying a lot of space in the papers. As they used to say, they're slinging a lot of ink regarding this case. And this past week, after a bit of silence, we've gotten some new news, and I felt as though that it was incumbent upon me to hop on with Brother Dave and have a conversation. It's in regards to a car that was located at 1405 Bluebird Street in Los Angeles, California. That car was a Tesla. And the person who, in fact, had this car was a subject by the name of D4VD. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags. From Jump Street, Dave, I want to tell you something. This appendix of this writ of habeas corpus that was released this past week, there was something that reached through my screen and grabbed me by the throat as I was reading it.
Okay.
And I've had several news platforms that, they gave me the sound, like, what does this mean? And here it is. Reading this appendix in regards to this writ, there's a subsection in there where they refer to the body, this positively identified body of Celeste Rivas, as part of her remains were contained in a cadaver bag. And Dave, I don't know about you, that's not something that I come across on crime scenes. I don't remember a single crime scene that I have ever worked either as a practitioner or have covered as a person that works in the media now and teaches. I've never had a case where I've had a body that was found in a cadaver bag. Now, they're using the term cadaver bag, okay? And I just so that there is no misunderstanding here or misinterpretation, this is a body bag, just like the name of the show. And here's something interesting. Do you know what they were called before they were called body bags, Dave?
No idea.
Disaster pouches.
Really?
Yeah, disaster pouches. It was a very popular term, and they haven't always been made out of plastic. They used to be made of like heavy canvas, if you can believe, almost like sailing canvas, you know. But anyway, these remains that are found inside of this Tesla, now we have kind of a peek behind the curtain, if you will. They're actively working this crime scene, and the idea is they've peeled this back, and we're seeing now. You know, there's been a lot of mystery shrouding this whole thing, and we haven't really known much. And I understand that it's an active investigation, not judging. Okay, but most of it has been speculative. In this particular case, though, Dave, we have some confirmation that there's a body bag involved in this.
Well, not just confirmation. I mean, you've got it right there in, whatever color you want to call it, black and white, red and white, legal documentation. Here's what we're talking about is the death of Celeste Rivas. Her body is found in a Tesla owned by the up and coming singer known as D4VD. Actually, that's just how he spells it. He pronounces it David. It's just a creative way to spell David Anthony Burke. Okay. David Anthony Burke is the guy's name. He's 20 years old. He actually began a career singing because he was a video game player online, and he would record himself playing videos, and he would upload those videos to YouTube, and he used current music on his videos, and they became popular because other players watched to learn new tricks at the game and things like that. And all of a sudden, one day, YouTube basically bounced him because he was copyright infringement. You can't use songs without permission. And so he was defunded, and that was where his money was coming from. And he's complaining to his mom. All right. His mom over and over. He's telling her, I can't believe Mom, I got no money. And finally she got frustrated. She was, according to him, she was on the phone with doing business. And she said, David, why don't you just go sing your own songs? Just stop it. Leave me alone. And that's what he did. He downloaded an app on his iPhone, went into his sister's closet, and made up a song. And that led to his career. He started putting his own songs on those videos that he was playing online, Fortnite in particular. And people loved what they heard. Now, these songs are macabre. We're talking murder and mayhem and lots of blood and just horrific scenery in your head. But that's what David Burke was doing. And it was from this online gaming thing he developed a music career. And I'm not going to talk about talent or anything else, because obviously you have to have talent to be able to do something like that. With David Anthony Burke, he is innocent until proven guilty. I got to say this, because everything we're looking at looks really, really bad. It looks to me as if David Anthony Burke became popular on making his music videos, his videos with his music. Again, hey, way to go. But part two of that is that it opened him up to conversations with other people online. And one of those people was a girl named Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Celeste Rivas is from Lake Elsinore, California. And Celeste grew up in a pretty wide open home. Celeste was a known runaway. She left her home a lot. Whenever she got mad with her folks, she would go spend the night at another relative's house. I mean, this was common in her family that she had a wild streak. Not blaming her. I'm not blaming the victim. I'm just trying to point out, because what you're about to hear seems unbelievable, but it's very believable. Yeah. I believe at the age of 12, she looked older than that, but I believe at the age of 12, she met David Burke online. And I believe, based on their own videos pictures that he knew she was underage. As their relationship grew, people in his inner circle thought she was 19. He's 20. I believe they've been together for 3 or 4 or 5 years.
When I got to tell you, these videos you're referring to, and I know a lot of people have seen them, you can see either she is masking her face or he is spinning the camera or manipulating the camera so that she cannot clearly be seen. And that's where a lot of the mystery comes from. And listen, when it doesn't matter, it really doesn't, because if you look at this from an evidentiary standpoint and the tools that we have just within forensics, digital forensics, particularly as it applies to biometrics, you can identify her, readily. Okay, she's easy to identify just if they do face captures on her. And then, not to mention, you're going to have all these peripheral individuals that are wandering in and out and all about his circle, if you will, that bore witness to her presence there. And also, here's something else, Dave, is going to be the domestic arrangement. That's going to be incredibly damning here. If this comes to light, where we find out that per these conversations that investigators have been having, a lot of it has been thrown back onto the parents, and I understand why people are really hot over that, because she, as you mentioned, she was, I don't know, master of understatement here, a free spirit, if you will. But she's indwelling at this domicile. And were they indwelling the same sleeping quarters together? Had anybody seen them be intimate with one another? And also, is there any record of intimacy? The world that we're in, people, film things, if you know what I mean. And I wonder, how deeply they've dug into this element. I do know this, coupled with this statement that there was a cadaver bag containing human remains that appear to be hers. Couple that with some of the other things that have been found at this residence. I got to tell you guys, I didn't think the story could get any darker. Right now, I can barely see my hand in front of my face.
No one knows what the future holds, but you deserve a weather app that can help. WeatherBug is easy to use and provides forecasts for your every need, from storm warnings to pollen levels, right at your fingertips. Get the fastest local alerts and comprehensive 10-day forecasts wherever you are. Its hyper-local, real-time customizable alerts make sure the weather never takes you by surprise, so you can plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store today and start getting accurate weather forecasts 24/7.
Taco Bell is rolling out the new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas. And here's the thing, you literally can't just get one. They come in twos. And thank goodness they do, because these toasted cheddar street chalupas filled with slow-roasted chicken, crispy bacon, and avocado ranch are stacked with bold flavor that keeps you going back for more. Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas, only at Taco Bell. Get yours today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last.
You've never been one to settle. Stand down or stand still. You're a lifelong learner, energized by excellence. There's a fire inside you you can't ignore. You've got competition to outrun, momentum to build on, and your own high standards to meet. Stop now? Not a chance. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing, because you've always had the drive. Now, go earn the degree. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Busy work weeks can leave you feeling drained. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet works at the cellular level to rejuvenate you from the inside out. providing real results that include fat-focused, sustainable weight loss with no injection needed. Next Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top medical centers, Prolon supports biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
You know, Dave, the fact that we now have some clarity about what was in the car, there's just as much data in this thing that actually goes to a timeline about the car being moved about some, and not so much being moved about, but about how the authorities actually interacted with the vehicle, which is interesting because a lot has been made of the fact that, we have remains, obviously, that have been found in the vehicle. But in addition to that, we begin to kind of understand what the progression was. We actually have a sense of when the vehicle was found by a citizen, or at least, like serious attention was paid for it. And listen, let me just kind of read this off to you. This is in black and white. It's off of the appendices that came off of this writ, and it'll kind of fill in some of the blanks here. So, and I quote, detectives were advised that on August 26, 2025, a citizen reported the above-mentioned Tesla as an abandoned vehicle parked across from 1405 Bluebird Street. On August 27th, one day later, 2025, the Department of Transportation officers, now this is going to be people that go around marking cars. They'll make chalk marks on tires, and they make rounds after they've done that. It gives them a timing feature as to how long a car has been in place. They also issue parking tickets and these sorts of things. So the Department of Transportation officers responded to Bluebird and marked the vehicle. On September 3rd, they returned to the vehicle and issued a citation. Now, I don't know what that citation actually is. Is it actually a paper citation, or is it something that you get through an email, because they scan something in? But according to the writ, they issued a citation on the 3rd. Now, jumping ahead to the 5th. On September the 5th, 2025, Department of Transportation impounded the vehicle to Hollywood Tow. All right. So Hollywood Area Tow. And it was noted that the Tesla was registered to, and this is not me saying this. This is how the writ reads, registered to target David Anthony Burke. He gives his home address in Hempstead, Texas. And then they go on to say, make note here, that David, who is a singer and performing artist, was on tour at the time the vehicle was impounded. So that kind of frames it out, doesn't it, Dave, as far as the progression goes relative to the vehicle, because the vehicle is our central point of it has the most evidentiary value. Now, right. I'm not saying that the residence doesn't have value, because it certainly does, because I think some probably really rough stuff went on there. However, that vehicle is a moving crime scene, okay? Simply based on the fact that, according to them, we've got human remains inside of it, right?
And that's when we started. The investigation, or the public investigation, begins with the Tesla being at the tow yard. When the odor comes out, they smell it and call the cops. It was then that a body was found. So everything that you just said is stuff we had to back into.
Yeah.
How did the car get there? Who put it there? And that's when we went back even further. You talk about August 26th, that's in the paperwork. Well, now we know, based on the investigative reporting we've been doing on this since the story broke in September of 2025, that that vehicle, that Tesla that was dirty, and dented that was parked in this upscale neighborhood became an eyesore. And neighbors complained about it multiple times, and it would get moved. The car would be moved into different areas along Bluebird Street and another one, but all within eyesight of the house that was rented for David Anthony Burke. The last time it was moved, July 30th, it was parked in the spot where it was towed from on July the 30th, the same day that David Anthony Burke left town with his best friend Neo to begin his first world tour. And he was out of town. So car gets parked that morning. And by the way, PI Stephen Fisher has seen who was driving the car the last time it was parked. He will not give that information out.
I was going to say, I didn't think that Stephen had given it out.
No, because he's not going to.
We've been on air with him several times.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, to this point, he's been right on the money with.
He's been a rock star.
Just about everything. And can you please remind our friends who he represents?
Well, he actually was hired by the owner of the rental home.
Right.
Because when the story started to break, the owner of the home, the home was rented to David Anthony Burke's manager, and it was rented for David Anthony Burke. This is not a cheap home. And at $20,000 a month, you got to be making some coin to foot that kind of bill, even out in LA. So when the owner of the home saw what was going on, I got to find out what happened in my home. Did somebody get killed in my home? What's going on here? And so up until that point, he didn't really know. And he hired Steve Fisher to find out. And so Steve Fisher has been a huge source for most of the information we have found out since, because we backed into it. Most of us had never heard of David Anthony Burke, D4VD. If you're under 25, you probably didn't. If you're not a gamer, probably didn't. But his first world tour was getting ready to take off. He's had videos that have been viewed in the hundreds of millions of times, Joe. For the youth of the world, he has become quite the entertainment figure. And his career was just getting ready to explode when this story broke.
Yeah.
First world tour. And by the way, something we have found out, remember now, body is identified in September. His world tour is underway. The body is found, rather, September 8th. Between September the 8th and the 17th, when Celeste Rivas' body was identified, David Anthony Burke was on tour, playing dates, nothing canceled, even though a body was found in a car registered to him. Now, I'm not calling anybody out for this. That'll happen later. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm your manager and we just found the body of somebody in your car, you aren't going to be, we're going to sever ties. You're not going on stage, you know?
No.
We're going to find out, but they didn't. The record label put him out there and they said, it's not my job to worry about what he does. It's my job to get the tour, play the dates. So,
well, anyhow, you're talking about the fandom that's out there. And I got to tell you, from Jump Street relative to this, when I first heard that information drop, and I'm not saying that he is guilty of anything.
Right.
But he's the owner of the vehicle. He is domiciled at that residence, and you find this child's body in the vehicle, and you're still going to be out on tour. It's arguably one of the more callous things, I think. And don't preach to me about business, all right? Don't preach to me about the show must go on and anything else that you want to say. You're talking about this young woman's body that was found in his vehicle, and you're still going to be playing gigs. I don't know. It does not. That is a really bad look moving forward here, Dave.
But one thing to point out from his, when her body was identified on the 17th, everything stopped, and it only stopped because the body was identified. If that body was not identified as Celeste Rivas, a missing girl from Lake Elsinore who was 14, because at first they reported her as 15. She turned 15 in the trunk of that car, in the frunk, Yep. Her body, she'd been dead for a while at that point. Now, I mean, you don't die today and then tomorrow find yourself in bags in the front of a car decomposing and in parts, because part of her was in one bag and part of her was in another, correct?
Yeah, you're right. And this goes to I got to tell you, this has got a real dark aspect to it, Dave. I think, I've mentioned this, but it deserves, repeat here. There are a lot of little dark points along the continuum, as we've learned with this particular case. All we have to do is go back to what Stephen had talked about. I think it's from him that we got this information about the burn cage that was found at that residence.
Yep.
And this thing burns. Dave, do you know, I was chatting with some colleagues about this because the case, forensically is a pretty incredible case study if you're trying to educate your students. The burn cage itself, which can be purchased at any big box store like Home Depot or Lowe's or you name it. I don't know. Maybe you could order one from Ace Hardware for all I know. But this thing actually burns hotter than a crematory.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It'll
I assumed it was less, Joe. I assumed wrong.
No, it all depends on how you manage it. And one of the things that it does is that it renders down brush safely. So you can chop up stuff, put it in there. You're out on property. You can set this stuff ablaze. And then we have these tools, that were found. I think that there's like a chainsaw. And, I asked Stephen, the private investigator, this is kind of interesting because I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I would say that the zip code where this Tesla was recovered from is probably wealth-wise, it's probably in the top 50 at least, right? Would you Hollywood Hills? I mean, in the U.S. perhaps. I know that Fallon. Well, I don't know about Fallon, but Kimmel lives up there. I mean, there's tons of stars that live around this area. And you're talking about $20K a month. But anyway, I digress. I asked Stephen, I said, so let me ask something, Stephen. Is it necessary if you're paying $20K a month for this place? It's almost laughable when you think about it. Do you have to do your own landscaping? And he kind of chuckled when I said that. And I didn't necessarily say it tongue in cheek, but I think I kind of was. He's like, no. All of that's included. So I'm not going to need to go out and buy a chainsaw. I'm not going to need to go out and buy a rubbish burner or, this burn cage thing, by the way, which is illegal.
I was going to say it's illegal. It's illegal to use where he's living.
Absolutely. I mean, we're literally in the wake, and you and I have had a friend of ours that lost her home in Palisades fire. And we're in the wake of this thing. Yeah. There's a reason why they have burn limits out there, because everything's so brittle and it'll go up in a flash. But yet these things are purchased and they're there. There's no evidence that they had ever been used. However,
why do you have them?
Yeah. Why do you have them? And that brings me back to a cadaver bag. Why do you have a cadaver bag? When they went into this Tesla, Dave, when they opened this thing up, they did find bagged remains, and they made a very specific point of saying this was a cadaver bag. Okay. And again, these can be purchased. It's no big deal. Go on Amazon. Literally, I urge everybody within the sound of my voice, go to Amazon. All right. Now, they ain't paying me nothing, for saying this, but everybody uses Amazon. A lot of people do. Go to Amazon and just plug in the words cadaver bag and see what pops up. And people use them for all kinds of things, getting rid of animal remains and decoration. And I guess you could get rid of human remains or contain them this way. Maybe it's a cheap way.
Joe, think about this. Now, you and I talked about this off the air, but his videos and things like that he has done included bloody shirts and bloody attire and things like that. It's all about murder and mayhem anyway. So cadaver bag, from his standpoint, could be purchased for any number of things by David Anthony Burke. The thing here is not that they were purchased because, again, based on his material, I can see where it would be used in the video. However, the artist who has a record label behind them, they don't have to provide stuff to shoot the video with. Okay. That back in the day, the Go-Go's, remember them?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Remember the first album they had where it had the girls on, like they just got out of the shower and they had the towels on.
Yeah.
Okay. They were so broke and they had no deal on the label that those towels, actually they went to a Sears and got the towels off the rack, saved the receipts, and then took them back after the photo shoot.
Okay. Get reimbursed for them.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Get their money back. Yeah, they took them back, got their money. Yeah. But that's not the case here.
No,
okay. David Anthony Burke has plenty of cash if he needs to buy something, but he's not going to have to buy it for the videos because that's already been done. But the worst thing about this, if you really take it the step further, is that while we could find legitimate reasons for him to have a cadaver bag that have nothing to do with a dead body, his cadaver bag has a dead body in it, part of a dead body. And that part of the dead body is a girl who he was with for at least 2 years and tried to deny in video form, in photo form, no matter where they were. If they were on video somewhere, her face was some way obscured.
Yeah.
And they together knew it. And they together did that. Joe, it wasn't like he alone tried to do it. She continually covered her face. Celeste Rivas did. Now, we are not accusing anyone of anything, merely pointing out some factual things about this case. And being a human being, the mere thought that another human being's body was found in your vehicle and you were the one having your vehicle moved up and down the street, a vehicle that was your regular driver up until the part where you parked it dented and dirty on the side of the street. And then this body shows up in the front and you act like it's no big deal. Sorry, friend, we need to look a little deeper at you. And by the way, your family, because your family won't show up and testify in front of a grand jury. If you haven't done anything wrong, how do they know anything? And I mean that, Joe. Why do they need to come and talk to a grand jury? Because they're fighting. They're saying, we want to know why you want us. I don't think you're allowed to do that, are you?
No. I mean, well, look, you can attempt to do anything you want to. People can attempt to be a good person. They can attempt to obscure the truth. But when those police officers opened that storage area, infamously known now as the frunk, they saw something in there that probably, even by their standards, shocked them once they opened that bag.
No one knows what the future holds, but you deserve a weather app that can help. WeatherBug is easy to use and provides forecasts for your every need, from storm warnings to pollen levels, right at your fingertips. Get the fastest local alerts and comprehensive 10-day forecasts wherever you are. Its hyperlocal, real-time, customizable alerts make sure the weather never takes you by surprise, so you can plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store today and start getting accurate weather forecasts 24/7.
You've never been one to settle. Stand down or stand still. You're a lifelong learner, energized by excellence. There's a fire inside you you can't ignore. You've got competition to outrun, momentum to build on, and your own high standards to meet. Stop now? Not a chance. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing because you've always had the drive. Now, go earn the degree. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
You can't solve every case for your kids, but with Greenlight, they'll have the instincts and the money skills to stay out of trouble. With a Greenlight debit card and money app, parents can monitor spending and teach financial responsibility. It's an easy way to guide kids as they grow, from earning allowance and tracking chores to teaching how to save and even invest. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
It never happens at a good time. The pipe bursts at midnight. The heater quits on the coldest night. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed. That's when HomeServe is here. For $4.99 a month, you're never alone. Just call their 24/7 hotline and a local pro is on the way. Trusted by millions, HomeServe delivers peace of mind when you need it most. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You know, Dave, as we're laying this down, we've got the Guthrie case going on, and talking about how it was handled and the release of the scene and all these sorts of things. As a matter of fact, we just laid down 2 new episodes that have recently premiered. I find it very interesting, and in this writ, that when writing this thing, they were very specific in talking about the gloved hands of the investigators out at the scene of this, which I was fascinated by it. And you had made mention of it, I think, earlier in a conversation we had off air. Dave, not only did they mention that their investigators out there had worn gloves, they mentioned something about the color of the gloves even, didn't they?
Has that ever even been mentioned in anything you've read before in a legal document?
No. And listen, as a forensics guy, I've worn a multitude of colors of gloves. I have had black, as these are referred to as. Did you know when I used to work in the morgue on a daily basis, you know what I wore in there? Take a while, guys. The gloves that I wore. And no, they weren't surgical gloves. I wore yellow Playtex gloves, like you see, that people wear to wash dishes with. Oh. And because they were thick, and you cut yourself or you cut those gloves during autopsies regularly. So I would put on a regular surgical pair of gloves, and I throw the yellow gloves on over the top. Wow. And another interesting little aside, I was in that first generation of people that we had to do autopsies on people that, we suspected. I treated everybody like they had full-blown AIDS when they would. I was at the height. And Dave, they had created, I'll never forget this. They had created these mesh gloves. And when I say mesh, I'm not talking about nylon. I'm talking about these were metal mesh gloves that people would wear, and they were supposed to prevent needle sticks and scalpel cuts.
The Fourth Musketeer had some of those.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what I had after I wore those. Man, I got such a pump on my forearms at the end of a day. If you do 5 or 6 autopsies with these things on, and don't ask me to quote the weight, but you can feel it. And one of the things that you have to do in this environment, your tactile ability is crucial, because you couldn't feel anything through these damn things. It was horrible. So it's like, I'm not wearing these anymore. Right. Now I ceased wearing them. Anyway. So I've worn all kinds of colors of gloves. I think.
So why would they mention that these gloves are black?
I don't know. And
there's not a legit. Wait a minute. There's not a real reason. They just did it.
Well, here's the thing. In my cadaver lab at Jack State, where I'm regularly doing dissections on human remains, I wear blue gloves. Mine are blue. That's the ones that I wear, the exam gloves I wear. But my colleagues that are going out to work scenes are wearing black. They wear black ones. I've seen people wear clear gloves. I've seen people wear surgical gloves. So it's interesting that they would just write that down. I think that they really wanted to emphasize, this is my thought, okay? My 10 cents for whatever it's worth. I think not only did they want to emphasize scene continuity, going back to, I made mention about Guthrie just a moment ago.
Yeah.
They wanted to at least communicate to whoever was going to read this writ that they were taking specific precautions when they went out there.
Okay.
Why is that? Well, a lot of it has to do with, obviously, transfer evidence. And you're going to be specific. Hey, boys, not only we're wearing rubber gloves, we're going to wear black rubber gloves, okay? And maybe, I don't know, hey, listen, that could be in their standard SOP.
Right.
We don't, for whatever reason, it's amazing what organizations will do. And I know people out there have sat around and they have read things before in their SOP when boss comes and tells you something, said, why is this necessary to be this specific about this? There's a reason. I haven't put my finger on it, but they're emphasizing the fact that they're wearing gloves. But that aside, they made note of going into rather granular detail that there were insects all over the outside of what they're terming, and this is the authorities because they're the genesis for this report. They're writing that there was insect activity on the outside of this cadaver bag, Dave.
What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that you've at least got one generation of flies that's indwelling there, and that, God, this is going to sound really cold, but this is reality, okay? The smell of human decay is like ringing the dinner bell for the insect world. And they smell on a spectrum that none of us can even fathom, okay? Kind of like dogs do, but only I think it's probably a bit more intense because that's how they live their life. You know, they live their life in order to eat, mate, and make babies. And that's it. You know, I sound like Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws, where he's talking about, you know, the perfect killing machine, you know, eat and make baby sharks. And that's what they do. But that's what flies do. Okay. And other insects that are associated with this. And that smell is ringing the dinner bell. I'm just really wondering how long had the smell been present? And I don't know that will, at this point in time, that we can necessarily hone in on this, because I've held from the beginning that I felt as though that the decomposition, the postmortem interval may have been skewed in some way or retarded in the sense that it's not on a normal course. Like if you took a body and just laid it outside, okay, and you didn't touch it, you know, like they do at the body farm. This is something different. It would seem at least that you've got multiple people handling these remains, or at least one. And they're moving them from various environments. We know for a fact that they're moving this car around, correct, right, Dave? They are moving it.
And that was documented. You know, that's the whole thing. Like when you document the last time the vehicle moved and you've got July 30th, and you know that it wasn't moved after, and you've got video pictures of it the entire time from there on out, and you see that no one approaches the car, nobody gets in the car, nothing is added to or taken out of the car from July 30th until it's towed. So you've got that documentation there for 4 weeks. And that's why I was wondering, Joe, if there is a body in a cadaver bag, I would have thought that bag would be sealed up and would not allow the smell to go out. No. Okay. No. But there's more than just the cadaver bag here, because there's another bag, and it's not called a cadaver bag.
Called a cadaver bag.
Tell me what's in that one.
Well, we've got the remainder of the body in there.
What do we have we got cadaver bag and then secondary bag, but their body's been cut up.
Yeah, the body has been cut up, and there's been a lot of talk about this as to, well, I think firstly, where was it cut up? That's more important to me than how it was found, because we have to, well, I don't have to do anything. The police have to identify the specific location, and I'll call it this now, the specific location of the dismemberment. Well, at the head of the list here, okay, is going to be this residence. Okay, I can't imagine that it would have been done somewhere else. It seems rather cumbersome, because this is your central gathering point. It's also where the domestic life goes on. You're sleeping there, you're eating there, you're doing whatever it is that you do there, and you've got time and you've got protection. You know, you can You can dismember a body, say, for instance, in a protected space. I'm thinking garage, bathroom, okay? No one's going to be the wiser, and no one's watching you. Unless,
but Joe,
yeah,
an amateur,
yep,
taking apart a body. You and I have talked about this many times about what actually transpires when you do this with a body that is filled with blood and everything else. And I would just have to think that unless you're a professional with professional tools and professional ground cloth, wall cloth, and ceiling cloth, without all that, there's going to be a way that I'm going to come into that house and I'm going to be able to tell where you did it and when you did it, just because of the remains of the blood, that there was no way you could have cleaned up that, and tissue, hair, all the other things that are part that make up our human body. You know, it's got to go somewhere, and it doesn't all end up down a drain.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Dave, on the ends of these bones. So even though, and this is my, I'm speculating here, even though, you know, these bones are still encapsulated, I would think, in soft tissue, the bone is going to be sticking out. Now, let me tell you what I think they probably did at autopsy, or at least it's what I would have done. Okay. First off, photographing thoroughly. Okay. Everything. I mean, just the photography alone back at the morgue would take a protracted period of time with and without scale. I am going to take, let's just say if you've got a severed leg, I'm going to take that leg and where it has been severed. Okay. Let's just say, and I don't know this for a fact, I'm just throwing this out there. Let's just say it's at the top end of the femur. Okay. Longest bone in the body. I am going to isolate that area, trim away all of the soft tissue, and I'm keeping that bone. I am keeping that bone. And the reason I'm going to keep that bone is that when I get it prepped, I want the folks at the tool mark section with LA County, the criminalist over there, I want them to take a look at it. And when they examine this thing, not just grossly, which means with the unaided eye, but when they put this thing on a scope, and it might just be like a magnification scope, you wouldn't need anything high mag with this, they're going to be able to see marks on that bone, Brother Dave. And when they see the marks on that bone, those people are so good. And tool mark people are some of the coolest people in the world. You talk about paying attention to detail. They're like watchmakers, all right? They will be able to look at those striations on that bone, and they will say, okay, I got 3 potential tools that were used here. I can tell you what it ain't. This is what you're going to be looking for. So are we talking about something that's like a spinning saw, you know, like a table saw or a skill saw? Are we talking something that is kind of like a pump jack, if you're talking about a sawzall that's going up and down, almost like the needle on a sewing machine? Is it mechanically driven or is it human powered? And that looks completely different, okay? You can tell when something's been machined as opposed to somebody using a hand tool. It's glaring to these people. So this is going to be a big part of this evidence, I think. And we go back to what we know about these remains. Dave, you know what I think is going to be one of the most damning pieces of evidence in this whole thing? If he is involved or any of his friends are involved, they don't trim hedges. They don't plant gardens. They entertain people. They did not show up, I cannot imagine, in any circumstance, with a whole array of tools. They will have had to have purchased these tools. And we're going to see a timeline that's going to be developed per this. If you ordered something online, like a handsaw, hacksaw, skill saw, it doesn't matter. That's going to be in the queue. If you ordered a Cadaver bag, that's going to be in the queue. Gee whiz, you order a burn cage? Yeah, that's definitely going to be in the queue. Hey, a brand new chainsaw? Yeah, hey, that's in the queue too. Now, I'm not saying that all of that damns anybody. But for my money, I can tell you this. As an old forensic investigator, it certainly will give me pause. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
No one knows what the future holds, but you deserve a weather app that can help. WeatherBug is easy to use and provides forecasts for your every need, from storm warnings to pollen levels, right at your fingertips. Get the fastest local alerts and comprehensive 10-day forecasts wherever you are. Its hyper-local, real-time customizable alerts make sure the weather never takes you by surprise, so you can plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store today and start getting accurate weather forecasts 24/7.
It's football season, and now you can get anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. Well, almost anything. You can't get a running back, but baby back ribs? Yes. Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL.
The Emmy-winning comedy Scrubs is back. The beloved original cast, including Zach Braff, Donald Faison, Sarah Chalk, Judy Reyes, and John C. McKinley, scrub back in at Sacred Heart Hospital for all new hilarious and heartfelt stories. There's a healthy injection of colorful new characters as well, including a fresh group of newbie interns and co-workers/nemeses Vanessa Bayer and Joel Kim Booster. The new season of Scrubs, Wednesdays at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.